Winner is Marley.
Mate, how did you celebrate last night? Did you get any sleep?
No, I didn't. I didn't, Coachy, honestly. How did you even get this?
We hope everybody's doing well in lockdown, keeping sane and keeping those practices up off the court. I'm MC Chris, the play-by-play commentator from Dandenong Basketball, and I'm here to chat with the winner of Big Brother and our very own Marley Biyendolo. Marley, how you going, mate?
Chris, I'm doing very well. Thank you. Pleasure to be here, mate.
It's a pleasure to have you on board. So I hear that you're stuck in quarantine again, mate. What's the go there? You had a bit of freedom and now you're back.
Yeah. Well, I had 1 day of freedom, Chris. Yeah, just 1 day. So I got home from Big Brother. Obviously had to do the mandatory quarantine at home, which was good. It was a good little relax. And then I was, I think, a bit ready to get out after that 2 weeks and ready to get rolling again and get back into basketball and work and everything, and then right back into lockdown. So I only got 1 day of freedom and now we're right back into lockdown. So it's tough.
So it's been a real tough season, hey, the stuttering lockdowns and that. So how has it impacted your preparations or your training? How does your regime look a bit these days?
Yeah, all over the place, Chris, as you can imagine. I mean, it's tough because you can't find a rhythm, especially, within this season. It's hard to get a rhythm, So, coming back and stopping and then having practice this day and then not having practice and then having practice at a different time. And then, things are just all over the place and we're just going on with the season on the fly at the moment. We're doing the best we can. I think the NBL1 is doing the best they can as well. And obviously everyone at Dandenong is too, to try and keep us in check. I mean, we're still working out and everything, behind the scenes with Mitch, our trainer. So we've been doing Zoom sessions and things like that with the team and with the guys. And obviously I'm doing my own things outside of that. So, my ball handling stuff and working out at the park whenever I can, but it's pretty cruisy. It's pretty low key at the moment. Just waiting to get back on the floor, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think your numbers have been reflective of that. You start to build some momentum, and as soon as lockdown hits, it shows a little bit, takes a little bit to get warmed up. But you had a really good showing against the Hobart Chargers, 12 points, 4 rebounds. How are you feeling from that last game and then heading into the finale for Big Brother? How did that all play out, scheduling wise?
Yeah. Good question. No, yeah, I was feeling good. I think I had a couple of good games I strung there in a row there. And then ending with that one in Hobart against Hobart was good. And I feel like just as a team, we were gaining and building some momentum. We were kind of finding our places, finding our roles, and really starting to work together well, and get some wins. So, it was a good moment for me, because especially with everything going on in the background, obviously everyone not really knowing, how far I got within Big Brother other than myself. With that all leading up, it was good to then, get away from all that, and kind of just be out on the floor and do what I do. So it was a good little combination there of basketball and then all the other stuff with Big Brother, because I was able to kind of separate the two and kind of, work with just the one thing when I was there. So yeah, it was a good little balancing act. But no, it all worked out well.
Part-time basketball, a part-time juggler apparently as well. All right, so let's address the elephant in the room. The whole experience, Big Brother. The first thing I want to ask is, everybody knows the show. Everybody's familiar with you're a big fan of the show yourself. Did you have any preconceptions about the show before entering that were changed as you went on through the experience?
Look, I think there were little things, obviously, once you get into the house that you don't really realize is going on, like in terms of just the fact that it's just a whole set. You know what I mean? There's cameramen and all that. You don't see them, but they're behind the walls. There's multiple Big Brothers and things like that. So little things like that surprised me, but everything in terms of in gameplay and things that were thrown our way and kind of things we had to kind of just go with the flow, and we were prepped and told that before going in, is just, if you're gonna be willing to go into this experience, please be willing to roll with the punches with everything that comes your way. And as you could see throughout the show and throughout the game, there was things around every corner that kind of surprised us. So, in that regard, I wasn't surprised. But in terms of the production side of things, it was pretty cool to see how something like this is ran, and kind of how it is in the house, and then how it is once it comes to air on the TV, once the edit's done. So yeah, it was a really, really cool experience for me. I love the whole thing.
So you talk about doing a lot of things on the fly, which is something you've had to deal with in terms of basketball over the last better part of nearly 2 years as well. So compare it to the playing at Madison Square Garden. Was there anything that that overawed you in either sense in the house or at Madison Square that you could that helped your playing experience, if you will?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think my whole college career actually helped me within this game of Big Brother. I mean, the stuff that I had to go through, within my 5 years of college, at college, I went to 3 different schools. You know what I mean? I went 2 years at Pepperdine, 1 year at SBU, and then 2 years at Peru. And I went through a world of different stuff thrown at me, Chris. I mean, from coaching changes to getting benched to not playing to playing a bunch to, everything came my way. To getting injured, tearing my ACL, my last season of my senior year in the national tournament game, like all of these things, I think built me up, allowed me to have some resilience when going into the house. And it was easy for me once going into Big Brother, because I've kind of always rolled with the punches my whole life. College taught me a lot of that and allowed me to grow in that space. But getting into the game and then being able to roll with the punches in that regard, and kind of just taking things as they come, having short-term memory, and then waking up the next day and rolling again. I think were all things that I learned from basketball, and huge experiences, like you said, playing in Madison Square Garden, and playing on ESPN and playing against huge teams ranked number 1 in the nation in front of 20,000 people. I think going into the house, it was easy for me. It could have been daunting for a lot of people, but it was easy because of the experiences that I've had up until this point.
Was there anything that surprised you about the show? Not necessarily in game, but the wider experience itself. You said there's cameras everywhere. You're being watched all the time, which is one thing. Is there anything else that we as the viewers don't see?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think going back to the production side of things, I think the biggest thing that surprised me, and then what I didn't realize when watching, is that the main Big Brother voice that we hear isn't always the Big Brother voice that is on in the house for us. So there's probably about throughout the day, well, there's 2 main Big Brothers, right? So the main one that we hear on TV, and then there's another Big Brother who's another main one. So there's those 2, but then we hear other producers come out throughout the day, because obviously Big Brother has to sleep, you know what I mean? But it's stuff that I didn't even realize. So when I heard another voice, I was like, who is that? When I first began playing the game. And then, like even at nighttime, there's even like a girl Big Brother, that would talk to us, but we still refer to them as Big Brother, because once it hits, the TV, obviously that overlay of Big Brother's voice will always be there. But I think just that, and then when walking into the challenges, seeing how many cameramen there were, how many cameras were set up, just the whole production team. There was about 200 plus people. It could have been, in those arenas, with a camera focused on every single person, with 4 GoPros set up on every single person. It's just nuts, the amount of money, time, and effort spent on shows like this. And I'm just so grateful I could have been a part of it. But just seeing how much work went into this is what blew my mind. It was insane, and how smoothly it ran. Like, we never really saw cameramen or anything like that. Like, you never really saw other people other than the housemates. So it was a pretty cool experience for sure.
All right. What about some of the toughest moments you experienced on the show? Obviously, it is a fair chunk of time. You had to deal with quarantine issues and that, up for elimination a couple of times. What played on the mind? What played on your mind throughout the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, throughout the whole experience, I went in there with one intention. I didn't go in there to be a reality TV superstar, that's for sure. As you could see, I was just being myself. So what was on my mind the whole way through was just my dad. I want to do this for my dad. I want to make it for my dad. I want to change his life. So that's what kind of fueled me throughout the game. So tough experiences within the game. Obviously, being up for nomination there a couple times, and thinking I was going home was hard, but it was something that I accepted. When it's out of your control, that's kind of how I've been my whole life. When it's out of my control, I got to leave it up to, the big man upstairs to kind of figure out for me. There was some tough times there. I think one of the toughest moments for me would definitely be making that decision at the end, obviously it was the right decision with, pulling Ari out of the game there and sending him home. But I think that was a really hard moment for me. And for me, especially because you're kind of pulling someone's opportunity away that's so close to, having a chance at winning $250,000. So that was definitely one of the hardest moments. There was some moments in there when you do, you miss your family, your friends. I miss my girlfriend, because you can't talk to anyone. But it was, for me, it was honestly, it was an amazing experience for me. To me, it was just all a big fun time. It was like a huge sleepover with friends, that you started bonding with. It was a dope experience. So it wasn't too tough for me, but it was.
So you talked about how much your dad fueled your motivation and your family, and I wanted to touch on a little bit more back home, playing with the Rangers, playing alongside your brother. What kind of significance does that hold, being able to play pro basketball with Dewson?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Especially because I think, my brother was the reason I kind of started playing basketball. We used to play when we were really, really little, out in the backyard for hours, Chris. We'd be out there with no shoes outside. Mum would kill us when we walked through the house. Our feet were so dirty, she'd make us crawl to the bathtub and then wash our feet. But anyways, he got me into basketball, basically. And I never wanted to, I was always good enough, but I never wanted to join Rangers because I didn't want to get up at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Only because I didn't want to wake up on a Sunday. I wanted to sleep in.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah,
priorities.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So the coach, Ryan, he sent me a formal letter and asked me to try out. And then from there in under 12s, I was in the first team all the way up to under 16s. And I went to Nunawading for a year or two and then back to Dandy. So I've been at Dandy my whole life. And then to have this full circle moment and kind of play, within the senior program, within the NBL1 program with my brother, who's also been in this for too many years to count. I think it's just a special moment for us. It's a special moment for Dad, and especially a special moment for Mum. And I know she's looking down smiling because she put so much work into Dandenong as well. So much of her own time just at the stadium, just working there almost every day. So she's, within those walls there at Dandy. So I think it's just a special moment to see us two boys out on the floor together. After everything we've kind of been through. It's a pretty beautiful full circle moment, I think. Yeah, it's special.
So you've done Big Brother. You've come out of that experience. You have to get through quarantine before you sort of make any moves. But what's next on the agenda for Marley Biyendolo? Point guard for Dandenong. What else is on? You're working as well still. What else is on the agenda for you, mate?
Yeah, well, I think there's plenty. There's so much that I want to tap into. I think I want to tap into things in the media side, potentially. I love speaking. As you can tell, I love speaking. So potentially in that side, not necessarily reality TV at this point, but yeah, potentially media opportunities. There's definitely stuff I want to start doing with my business that I work with in disability and growing that and potentially starting something up there. And then obviously, just seeing what other opportunities come. I want to see what kind of brands that I can work with, collaborate with, and move forward with coming in the future. So that's exciting stuff that I want to look into. But I kind of just want to tap into and explore every single avenue I can. Life's too short not to, right? So I want to see all of these opportunities that come my way and take full grasp of them and try everything out. See if this works, that works, if I love this, if I don't love that. So yeah, I don't have a specific thing, I think, for what's next for me. I think I'm just taking everything as it comes now and kind of trying to explore everything that I have a passion in. Basketball has been my passion for 15 plus years. I put so much into this and now I want to also open up and explore other avenues as well within my life. Because I'm getting a little old now, at 26, I'm getting a little old. So I definitely want
hang on. I'm a little bit older than you are. I don't think you can pull the age card just as yet.
Yeah, that makes me feel better, Chris. Good.
So yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have time for, Marley. You have captured the hearts of Australia, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have eyes on you wherever you go, mate. So all the best in whatever's your next step, and I'm really looking forward to getting back in the commentary booth and calling your games again, mate.
Me too, Chris. I can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you so much. And I look forward to getting on the court again and seeing you again soon, man. Thank you.
All good. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you, brother.